today's section is 3.27 6 onwards. In this section 6 to 11, Lord Kapila will explain to Mother Devati about attaining liberation, the process of attaining liberation by the Jnana process. Okay, so let's see what it is. Shloka number 6. Yamadbhiryogapathayr abhyasan shraddhayanvitah मयि भावेन सत्येन मत्कथा श्रवणेन च. Very nice shloka. यमाद्भिर्योगपथैर् अभ्यसन् श्रद्धयान्वितः मयि भावेन सत्येन मत्कथा श्रवणेन च. यमाद्भिर्योगपथैर् अभ्यसन् श्रद्धयान्वितः मयि भावेन सत्येन मत्कथा श्रवणेन च. यम आदिभि, beginning with yam, yog pathai, by the yoga system, abhyasan, practicing, shraddhaya anvitaha, with great faith, mai, unto me, bhavena, with devotion, satyena, unalloyed, matkatha, stories about me, shravanena, by hearing, cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One has to become faithful. How? By practicing the controlling process of the yoga system, and must elevate himself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service. How? By chanting and hearing about me. Okay, so two things is mainly explained here, that one has to become faithful by practicing controlling process of yoga system. So one thing is to become faithful. How? By practicing the controlling process of yoga. Second thing is elevate ourselves to the platform of unalloyed devotional service, ahetuki bhakti. How? By chanting and hearing about Krishna. Okay. So, with faith, what he is trying to say in this 6 to 11, Lord is saying 6 to 11, that with faith one should practice using the yoga process, starting with yam, niyam, some do's and don'ts. While hearing my, and one should also parallelly hear the glories of Krishna with the understanding that Krishna is real. One should see all living beings equally, without enmity. This is next shloka is saying that one should see all living beings equally, without enmity, without attachment, and should observe celibacy and silence. One should perform occupational duties. What are your duties? One should perform occupational duties as an offering to the Lord. So duties or occupational duties should be performed as an offering to the Lord. One should be satisfied with what comes on its own. Lord Kapila is saying one should be satisfied with what comes on its own. By its own, whatever is coming, be satisfied. Then should eat with regulation. Should contemplate, live in a secluded place, and should be peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and determined. He should not have thoughts of I and my for his body or relatives. By realized knowledge of Prakriti and Purusha, he should transcend all states of consciousness such as waking and sleeping, and he should see all material objects from far away. This is the thing. So the Jnani, Lord Kapila is saying, the Jnani should realize the Paramatma by the pure Jiva alone and attain that Lord, seeing him like an ocean of light by the healthy eye. The object of realization for the liberated soul, Paramatma, constantly remains in the temporary material worlds as the Antaryami. So he is the cause of Prakriti. He is the revealer of Prakritis evolutes the material elements, and he pervades both Prakriti and its evolutes and is one alone. So this is the process in 6 to 11 Lord Kapila told about attaining liberation by knowledge, by jnana process. So here this shloka, 6th shloka, here he is saying that you practice some yam niyam, Ashtanga yoga with devotion. Prabhupada is saying that yoga so Srila Prabhupada is saying yoga is practiced in 8 different stages. That is why it is called Ashtanga yoga. Yoga, there are different type of yoga, and one type of yoga is Ashtanga yoga. In that Ashtanga yoga there are 8 different stages: Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. So Yam and Niyam mean, what is the meaning of Yam and Niyam? Practicing the controlling process by following strict regulations. And Asan refers to the sitting postures, different asanas. So these things help raise one to the standard of faithfulness in devotional service. So these things will increase faith in bhakti. The practice of yoga by physical exercise is not the ultimate goal. So this is not the ultimate goal. What? Practicing yoga by physical exercise. That's not the actually ultimate goal of yoga. So the real end is to concentrate and to control the mind and train oneself to be situated in faithful devotional service. Concentrate and control the mind and train oneself for what purpose? To situate in faithful devotional service. The word here used is bhavena or bhava. It's a very important factor in the practice of yoga or in spiritual process. Bhava. Bhava is explained in Bhagavad Gita 10.8. Buddha bhava samanvita. One should be absorbed in the thought of love of Krishna. When one knows that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the source of everything and that everything emanates from Krishna, aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate, then what? Then one understands the Vedanta aphorism Janmadiyasya, the original source of everything. Janmadiyasya, everything, the source of everything, the original source is Krishna. And then he can become absorbed in bhava or the preliminary stage of love of Godhead. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that very nicely in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu how the bhava or preliminary stage of love of God is achieved. He states that one first of all has to become faithful, shraddhyanvitaha, faithful. First thing is shraddha. Faith is attained by controlling the senses, either by yoga practice, following the rules and regulation, and practicing the sitting posture. Okay. So what Prabhupada is saying, that faith is attained by controlling the senses or by yoga practice or by following yam niyam, rules and regulation, and asanas, sitting postures, or by engaging, or what you can do is engaging directly in bhakti yoga as recommended in the previous verse. Directly engage ourselves in the service of Krishna. So of the 9 different items of bhakti yoga, in bhakti yoga there are 9 items, है ना. श्रवणम, कीर्तनम, विष्णु स्मरणम, पाद सेवनम, अर्चनम, वंदनम, दास्यम, साक्यम, आत्मनिवेदनम. These are the 9. So about out of 9, the first and foremost is Shravanam and Kirtanam, to chant and hear about the Lord. That is also mentioned here. Mat katha shravane nacha. Very important. Lord Kapila is also saying Mat katha shravane nacha. You have to hear my katha. So one may come to the standard of faithfulness by following the rules and regulations of the yoga system, and the same goal can be achieved simply by chanting and hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord. So the goal which can be attained by following this yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, other thing, also same goal also can be achieved simply by chanting and hearing Krishna Katha, chanting Krishna name. Simple. The word is used here cha, which is very significant. So bhakti yoga is direct and the other process is indirect. But even if the indirect process is taken, there is no success unless one comes fully to the direct process of hearing and chanting the glory of the Lord. So if somebody takes indirect process, what is that? This rules and regulation and practicing yoga and asanas, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam. If somebody takes this indirect process, then also for attaining perfection, he has to come ultimately to the direct process. So there is a one way that you start with indirect process and then come to the direct process. But there is another process that you directly come to the direct process. So what is the direct process? Direct process is hearing and chanting, Shravanam and Kirtanam. So therefore the word Satyena is used here. So in this connection, Swami Sridhar Swami comments that Satyena means Nishkapatena. Nishkapatena means without duplicity. Okay. The impersonalists are full of duplicity. Sometimes they pretend to execute devotional service, but their ultimate idea is to become one with the Lord, one with the Supreme. So this is called kapata, duplicity. The Bhagavatam does not allow this duplicity. In the beginning itself, that's why Bhagavatam has clearly, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated, Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. This Srimad Bhagavatam, this treatise Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are completely free from envy. So the same point is again stressed here. Unless one is completely faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages himself, this is important, unless one is completely faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages himself in the process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So unless one engages in this hearing and chanting Krishna's name and glories and Katha, he cannot make it for liberation. There is no possibility for liberation. Okay. Okay. 7th. So now 7th to 10, Lord will explain about 18 qualities to be cultivated by the Jnanis. There are 18 qualities. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Seventh shloka. सर्वभूत समत्वेन निर्वैरेण प्रसंगता ब्रह्मचर्येण मौनेन स्वधर्मेण बलीयसा. सर्वभूत समत्वेन निर्वैरेण प्रसंगता ब्रह्मचर्येण मौनेन स्वधर्मेण बलीयसा. सर्वभूत समत्वेन निर्वैरेण प्रसंगता ब्रह्मचर्येण मौनेन स्वधर्मेण बलीयसा. Serve all bhoot living entities samatvena by seeing equally, nirvairena without enmity, aprasangataha without intimate connections, brahmacharyena by celibacy, maunena by silence, swadharmena by one's occupation, baliyasa by offering the result. In executing devotional service, one has to see every living entity equally, without enmity towards anyone, yet without intimate connections with anyone. In executing devotional service, one has to see every living entity equally, without enmity towards anyone, yet without intimate connection with anyone. No enmity and no intimate connection. One has to observe celibacy, be grave, and execute his eternal activities, offering the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Prabhupada is saying that a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who seriously engages in devotional service is equal to all living entities. Okay. Bhagavad Gita also explained the same thing, that Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmani Gavihastani Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samdarsana. One, he should be having equal vision. So there are various species of living entities, but a devotee does not see the outward covering. He sees the inner soul inhabiting the body, because each and every soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not see any difference. That is the vision of a learned devotee. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, a devotee or a learned sage does not see any difference between a learned Brahman, a dog, an elephant, or a cow, because he knows that the body is the outer covering only, and that the soul is actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So a devotee has no enmity towards any living entity, but that does not mean that he mixes with everyone. You don't have enmity, but that doesn't mean that he mixes with everyone. So that is prohibited. Aprasangataha means not to be in intimate touch with everyone. A devotee is concerned with his execution of devotional service, and he should therefore mix with the devotees only. He is not enemy, he is not having enmity with anyone, but he is mixing only with the devotees in order to advance his objective. What is the objective? Objective is execution of devotional service, attaining Krishna Prema. He has no business mixing with others, for although he does not see anyone as his enemy, his dealings are only with persons who engage in devotional service. A devotee should observe the vow of celibacy. Next point. Okay, 18 qualities are mentioned here. This is the next one, celibacy. That a devotee should observe the vow of celibacy. Celibacy does not necessitate that one be absolutely free from sex life. Important. Satisfaction with one's wife is permitted also under the vow of celibacy. If somebody is okay with his own wife, that is celibacy. The best policy is to avoid sex life altogether. The best thing is completely avoid it. That is preferable. Otherwise, a devotee can get married. If he cannot completely avoid, then he can get married under the religious principles and live peacefully with a wife. Simply. So, a devotee should not speak needlessly. Next thing. A serious devotee has no time to speak of nonsense. He is always busy in Krishna consciousness. Whenever he speaks about Krishna. Mauna, this is called Mauna, means silence. Silence does not mean that one should not speak at all, but that he should not speak of nonsense. He should be very enthusiastic in speaking about Krishna. Another important item described here is Swadharmena. That means being exclusively occupied in one's eternal occupation, which is to act as the eternal servitor of the Lord or to act in Krishna consciousness. The next word is Baliyasa, means offering the results of all activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So a devotee does not act on his personal account for sense gratification. Whatever he earns, whatever he eats, and whatever he does, he offers for the satisfaction of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. 8th shloka. यद्रच्छयोपलब्धेन संतुष्टो मितभुन्मुनि विविक्त शरण शांतो मैत्रः करुणा आत्मवान. यद्रच्छयोपलब्धेन संतुष्टो मितभुन्मुनि विविक्त शरण शांतो मैत्रः करुणा आत्मवान. यद्रच्छयोपलब्धेन संतुष्टो मितभुन्मुनि विविक्त शरण शांतो मैत्रः करुणा आत्मवान. Yadrachaya, without difficulty, uplabdhena, with what is obtained, santushta, satisfied, mita, little, bhuk, eating, munihi, thoughtful, vivikta, sharanaha, living in a secluded place, shantaha, peaceful, maitraha, friendly, karunaha, compassionate, atmavan, self-possessed, self-realized. Okay, so there is one question before we go to next shloka, that while chanting holy name Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are hearing our own sound, so that comes under Shravanam or not? Yeah, it can. It is Shravanam also and chanting also. The process of chanting is okay, one second. It is like Shravanam means hearing holy name and katha. So when we chant our own when we chant Krishna's name, that the process of chanting itself saying that hear attentively the holy name. So that's why hearing is very important, and chanting is, when somebody's hearing is good, automatically chanting becomes good. And the process of chanting itself is that hear attentively what you are chanting. So it is always, that's why they are coming together. Okay, without hearing, chanting is not possible. And when you are doing chanting, anyway hearing is happening. So the process is chanting, in that you hear also. Okay, so this is the thing. Because anything, when you chant, you will hear. So it's also hearing, it's also chanting. That's why chanting itself is a complete process. Okay, all about of all the 9, each and every process of out of all the 9, each and every process is complete itself. Okay. Okay, so 8th shloka. Lord Kapila is saying further some more qualities about a person, Jnani, that for his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. One should not do too much effort. With normal way, whatever comes, he should be satisfied in that. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self realized. So, everyone who has accepted a material body must maintain the necessities of the body by acting or earning some livelihood. It's important. A devotee should only work for such income as is absolutely necessary. Whatever is absolutely necessary, that much only he should work. He should be satisfied always with such income and should not endeavor to earn more and more simply to accumulate the unnecessary. A person in the conditioned state who has no money is always found working very hard. A person in the conditioned state who has no money is always found working very hard to earn some with the object of lording it over material nature. He wants to control, lord it over material nature, so he wants so much money. Kapil Dev Bhagwan instructs that we should not endeavor hard for things which may come automatically without extraneous labor. The exact word used in this connection is yadrachaya, means that every living entity has a predestined happiness and distress in his present body. That is called the law of karma. The exact word is what here is that the meaning of yadrachaya is that every living entity has a predestined happiness and distress. Prahlad Maharaj also says the same thing in Bhagavatam, that dukkha, nobody calls for dukkha, nobody does effort for dukkhas, but they come. So same way sukha will come by its own. It's predestined as per the law of karma. So it is not possible that simply by endeavors to accumulate more money a person will be able to do so. It is not possible that simply by endeavors to accumulate more and more money a person will be able to do so. Otherwise, almost everyone would be on the same level of wealth. If everyone can accumulate more wealth by doing hard work, then everyone should have equal wealth. Two people are doing same hard work, but they will not have equal wealth. In reality, everyone is earning and acquiring according to his predestined karma. According to the Bhagavatam conclusion, we are sometimes faced with dangerous or miserable conditions without endeavoring for them. And similarly, we may have prosperous conditions without endeavoring for them. We can also have prosperous conditions without endeavoring for them. So we are advised to let these things come as predestined. We should engage our valuable time in prosecuting Krishna consciousness. In other words, one should be satisfied by his natural condition. If by predestination one is put into a certain condition of life which is not very prosperous in comparison to another's position, one should not be disturbed. He should simply try to utilize his valuable time to advance in Krishna consciousness. Advancement in Krishna consciousness does not depend on any material prosperous or distressed condition. It is free from the conditions imposed by material life. Very important purport this is. Very important thing Prabhupada is telling. A very poor man can execute Krishna consciousness as effectively as a very rich man. One should therefore be very satisfied with his position as offered by the Lord. Another word here is mitbhuk. This means, so what is the point? That one should therefore be very satisfied with his position as offered by Krishna, by the Lord. Now next thing is mitbhuk. Another word here is mitbhuk. This means that one should eat only as much as necessary to maintain the body and soul together. One should not be gluttonous to satisfy the tongue. Grains, fruits, milk, similar foods are allowed for human consumption. One should not be excessively eager to satisfy the tongue and eat that which is not meant for humanity. Particularly, a devotee Particularly, a devotee should eat only prasad or food which is offered to the personality of Godhead. His position is to accept the remnants of those foodstuffs. Innocent foods like grains, vegetables, fruits, flowers, and milk preparations are offered to the Lord, and therefore there is no scope for offering foods which are in the modes of passion and ignorance. A devotee should not be greedy. It is also recommended that the devotee should be muni or thoughtful. He should always think of Krishna and how to render better service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That should be his only anxiety, that how to serve Krishna. As a materialist is always thoughtful about improving his material condition, a devotee's thoughts should always be engaged in improving his condition in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is saying that as a materialist is always a karmi, a materialist person is always thoughtful about improving his material condition, how I can improve my material condition. Same way, a devotee's thoughts should always be engaged in improving his condition in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he should be a muni. He should always think how I can become better devotee, how I can improve my Krishna consciousness. The next item recommended is that a devotee should live in a secluded place. Generally, a common man is interested in pounds, shillings, and pence or materialistic and advancement in life, which is unnecessary for a devotee. A devotee should select a place of residence where everyone is interested in devotional service. Very important. A devotee should select a place of residence where everyone is interested in devotional service. Generally, therefore, a devotee goes to a sacred place of pilgrimage where devotees live. It is recommended that he live in a place where there is no large number of ordinary men. It is very important to live in a secluded place, Vivikta Sharana. The next item is Shanta or peacefulness. The devotee should not be agitated. He should be satisfied with his natural income. Eat only as much as he needs to keep his health. Live in a secluded place and always remain peaceful. Peace of mind is necessary for prosecuting Krishna consciousness. Okay, peace of mind, Prabhupada is saying peace of mind is necessary for prosecuting Krishna consciousness. The next item is Maitreya, friendliness. A devotee should be friendly to everyone, but his intimate friendship should be with devotees only. He can be friendly with everyone, but intimate friendship is with devotees only. With others, he should be official. He may say, yes sir, what you say is all right, but he is not intimate with them. A devotee should, however, have compassion for persons who are innocent, who are neither atheistic nor very much advanced in spiritual realization. A devotee should be compassionate towards them and instruct them as far as possible in making advancement in Krishna consciousness. A devotee should always remain Atmavan or situated in his spiritual position. He should not forget that his main concern is to make advancement in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, and he should not ignorantly identify himself with the body or the mind. Atma means the body or the mind, but here the word Atmavan especially means that one should be self-possessed. He should always remain in the pure consciousness that he is spirit soul and not the material body or the mind. That will make him progress confidently in Krishna consciousness. Okay, 9th shloka. Sanubandhe cha dehe yasmin akurvan asad agraham jnanena drishta tattvena prakarte purushasya cha sanubandhe cha dehe asmin अकुर्वन् असद् आग्रहं ज्ञानेन दृष्टतत्त्वेन प्रकृते पुरुषस्य च सानुबन्धे च देहेऽस्मिन् अकुर्वन् असद् आग्रहं ज्ञानेन दृष्टतत्त्वेन प्रकृते पुरुषस्य च Sanubandhe with bodily relationships cha and dehe towards the body asmin this akurvan not doing asat agraham bodily concept of life jnanena through knowledge drishta having seen tattvena the reality prakarte of matter purushasya of spirit cha and once seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. The conditioned souls are eager to identify with the body and consider that the body is myself and that anything in relationship with the body or possessions of the body is mine. In Sanskrit, this is called aham mamata, me and mine, I and my. And this thing, it is the root cause of all conditional life. A person should see things as the combination of matter and spirit. He should distinguish between the nature of matter and the nature of spirit. And his real identification should be with spirit, not with the matter. By this knowledge, one should avoid the false bodily concept of life. So very important point is he should distinguish between the nature of matter and the nature of spirit, and his real identification should be with spirit, not with matter. I am the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. This should be the identification, not that other identification that I am the body. Okay. होगा निवृत्त बुद्धि अवस्थानो दूरीभूतान्य दर्शनः उपलब्ध्यात्मनात्मानं चक्षुसेवारकम् आत्मदृक् निवृत्त बुद्धि अवस्थानो दूरीभूतान्य दर्शना उपलब्ध्यात्मनात्मानं चक्षुसेवारकम् आत्मदृक् निवृत्त बुद्धि अवस्थानो दूरीभूतान्य दर्शना उपलब्ध्यात्मानात्मानं चक्षुषेवार्कम आत्मदृक् निवृत्त ट्रांसेंड बुद्धि अवस्थानः द स्टेजेस ऑफ मटेरियल कॉन्शियसनेस दूरीभूता फार ऑफ अन्य अदर दर्शना conceptions of life उपलब्ध्या having realized Atmana by his purified intellect, Atmanam his own self, Chakshusha with his eyes, Iva as Arkam the sun, Atmadrik the self realized. One should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. In this way, thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Consciousness acts in three stages under the material conception of life. When we are awake, consciousness acts in a particular way. When we are asleep, it acts in a different way. And when we are in deep sleep, consciousness acts in still another way. To become Krishna conscious, one has to become transcendental to these three stages of consciousness. Our present consciousness should be freed from all perceptions of life other than consciousness of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Duri Bhutanya Darshana, which means that when one attains perfect Krishna consciousness, he does not see anything but Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that The perfect devotee may see many movable and immovable objects, but in everything he sees that the energy of Krishna is acting. As soon as he remembers the energy of Krishna, he immediately remembers Krishna in his personal form. Therefore, in all his observations, he sees Krishna only. Everything is the energy of Krishna. So when he sees the energy of Krishna, he gets idea about Krishna. He remembers Krishna's personal form immediately. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that when one's eyes are smeared with love of Krishna, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hridaye vilokayanti. He always sees Krishna. When his eyes are smeared with love of Krishna, then he always sees Krishna outside and inside. This is confirmed here. One should be freed from all other vision, and in that way he is freed from the false egoistic identification and sees himself as the eternal servitor of the Lord. Chakshu Shevarkam. As we can see the sun without a doubt, one who is fully developed in Krishna consciousness sees Krishna and his energy. Like we see sun, then he sees, same way he sees Krishna. By this vision one becomes Atmadrik or self-realized. When the false ego of identifying the body with the self is removed, actual vision of life is perceivable. The senses therefore also become purified. Real service of the Lord begins when the senses are purified. One does not have to stop the activities of the senses, but the false ego of identifying with the body has to be removed. One does not have to stop the activities of the senses, but the false ego of identifying with the body has to be removed. It's not the activity has to be stopped, no. Then the senses automatically become purified, and with purified senses one can actually discharge devotional service. 11th sloka. Muktalingam sad abhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asatchakshu sarvanusyutam advayam. Muktalingam sad abhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asatchakshu sarvanusyutam advayan. Muktalingam sad abhasam asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asatchakshu sarvanusyutam advayam. Muktalingam, transcendental, sat abhasam, manifest as a reflection, asati, in the false ego, pratipadyate, he realizes, satah bandhum, the support of the material cause, asat chakshu, the eye, revealer of the illusory energy, sarva amashyutam, entered into everything, adavayam, without a second. A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. Prabhupada is saying that a pure devotee can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything materially manifested. He is present there only as a reflection, but a pure devotee can realize that in the darkness of material illusion, the only light is the Supreme Lord, who is its support. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the background of the material manifestation is Lord Krishna. And as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord, by his partial or plenary expansion, is present not only within this universe and each and every universe, but in every atom, andantarastha paramanu sayatarantam, in every atom, although he is one without a second. The word adavyam, without a second, which is used in this verse, indicates that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is represented in everything, including the atoms, he is not divided. He is present in every atom, but he is adavyam, he is not divided. So his presence in everything is explained in the next verse. How he is present in everything. So that is from 12 to 13, inferring the presence of the soul and the super soul. How the soul is present, how the super soul is present everywhere. This thing is explained in next two shlokas. So before we go to next shloka, we will see these 18 qualities summarized, which are explained from 7th to 10th in these shlokas. Okay, 7 to 10. First thing was Sarvabhut Samatva, that means equality to all jivas. Second thing was Nirvaira, that means no enmity. Third thing was Aprasanga, that means no intimate connections with all. Fourth thing was Brahmacharya, celibacy. Fifth was Mauna, being grave. Next was Swadharmena Baliyasa, offering results of one's activities to the Lord. Next was Yadrat Chayopalabdhena Santushto, satisfaction with what comes of its own accord. Next was Mitbhuk, regulated eating. Ninth, Munihi, thoughtful. 10th, Vivakta Sharanaha, living in a secluded place. 11th, Shanto, peaceful. Maitra, 12th, that means friendly. Karuna, compassionate. Atmavan, determined, self-possessed. And 15th, Sanubandhe Chadehe Asmin Akurvan Asad Agram, no bodily identification or attraction for bodily relationship. And 16th, Jnanena Drishta Tattvena Prakrte Purushasya cha Nivritta Buddhi Avasthano, transcends the three stages of material consciousness and seeing the reality by realized knowledge of spirit and matter. And 17, Duri Bhutanya Darshana, being aloof from all other conceptions of life. And 18 was Atmadrik, self-realized. Okay, and then the 11th shloka explains that a liberated soul realizes the super soul whose characteristics explained in this. So 11th shloka says that liberated soul realizes the super soul, and super soul's characteristics are what? First is Asati Sad Abhasam. 5 characteristics of super soul is explained here. First is Asati Sad Abhasam, that means manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. Second is Sato Bandhum, cause of Prakriti. Third is Asat Chakshu, the revealer of the material elements. And fourth is Sarvanusyutam, pervades into everything. And fifth is Adabhyam, one without a second. So these were the 18 qualities of a Jnani who want to attain liberation, explained by Lord Kapila to Mother Dehuti. And the fifth and the 5 qualities or the 5 characteristics of super soul. A liberated soul realizes super soul whose characteristics are these 5. Means these 5 are explained here. Now next is 12 and 13, where it is explaining, Lord Kapila explains inferring the presence of the soul and the super soul. So this section we will do tomorrow. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Shil Prabhupada ki jai.